probably the greatest teacher that I was ever associated with. In retrospect, that was probably his greatest attribute.
In the 1980s, the NFL had a program in place to educate minority coaches on how to become head coaches, but it was far from the standards of Bill Walsh.
A lot of teams were maybe hesitant about going that route, but Bill was clear about it. He wasn't afraid to talk about race. He wasn't afraid to say, you know, we're not being fair.
The coach would come from a historically black university, come stand on the sideline at their practices, and then maybe go in and watch some film. But that was the only interaction that they had.
He said, we're better than that. We have to do better. He knew that we have to begin to change.
That's exactly what Walsh did. With the help of the 49ers, Walsh created his own minority coaching internship program, one that would change the face of the NFL.
Those coaches would have an opportunity to learn the game of professional football inside and out. And in doing that, Bill created a program that was so much different than anything else they had ever done.
Managing men, to developing game plans, to interviewing sessions with Bill in terms of here's how you would interview for a head coaching job.
Bill went so far, okay, as to let the coaches coach in that program, where you weren't just standing and watching, you had a responsibility.
In order to be successful, you need access. And at the time, before this happened, there was no access for young African-American football coaches to have access to people hiring in those positions because there was no intermingling.
Walsh's message of diversity is not only felt in the NFL, but at Stanford as well, where they have hired more African-American head football coaches than any other D1 school in the country.
Stanford, it's all about education. It's all about being very bright, being innovative, about being ahead of the curve, and Stanford trying to hire the best people for the jobs. And I think we've been able to do that regardless of race.
You could almost say I'm like Bill Walsh's coaching son, and Tyron Willingham is his grandson, and David Shaw's his great-great-grandson. All of us really kind of owe it to him because he enabled Stanford to see that, hey, just hire the best man for the job. Don't worry about anything else.
The NFL now honors Walsh with the Bill Walsh NFL Minority Coaching Fellowship, a program which mirrors Bill's original vision.
I think he'll be proud of that. Knowing Bill, he wouldn't be satisfied. He would still say, okay, that's great, put my name on it, but you better make sure that it's a phenomenal program. You better make sure that nothing falls through the cracks.
Great ideas come from a great man, and that's really the case here. This was a great idea. It came from a great man who believed in it.
Bill Walsh's impact on the league can be seen each and every Sunday. But the question remains, why? Why did this mission of diversity mean so much to him?
I asked him when he was literally in his last days, why were these things so far beyond just the Lombardi trophies and the Super Bowl rings and the Super Bowl victories so important to you? And you know what his answer was? He said, because people are important. Because people matter to me.
It was so important to Bill to have the best people. Bill was about being the best. And anything that hindered that, racism, classism, all those things, anything that hindered him from finding the best candidates, it was an annoyance to him. It was wrong. It was just flat out wrong.
But I think when you break it all down, Bill had a wonderful appreciation for life and all aspects of life. And when you value life, you value a person, not a color.